Wait until you see this clip from Charles Hoskinson. Gigachad bull run incoming. I've never seen him so bullish. Total crypto market cap. This is everything, including Bitcoin and altcoins. Only 25% away or above all-time high from last cycle. That's it. This thing is just getting started. The altcoin market cap has not even broken last cycle's all-time high. And this is a very important data to start the video off as we dissect and explain why not only the 4-year cycles are just, it's old news. It's a new game, but why crypto is so bullish right now at this kind of intersection with insane fundamentals that we've never seen before. Ethereum on the weekly setting up its massive bull run breakout. I want to talk about targets not only to the upside, but I want to look at targets to the downside as well, because as we set up this next move, there is a very strong likelihood of continued consolidation. And I want to talk about what that might look like for Ethereum. Doesn't matter if you hold Ethereum or not. Very important for altcoins, and ADA setting up its own structure with a potential $1.80 target coming into play. I want to discuss what that looks like as Cardano might be setting up its entry into its bull market. Hit the subscribe and like on the way in if you're not in our intelligence system. Please check us out. We have a 40% sale going on right now. Get our risk models, get our exit planners, start planning for this cycle, because we are in a brand new type of cycle. Some are even calling it a Gigachad bull run. So I want to start, before we even look at this clip and dissect the charts, I just want to start with two things for the short term. Be very careful. Tomorrow is the Fed interest rate decision. It's scheduled for July 30th tomorrow. And analysts are widely anticipating that the Fed will hold rates steady at this meeting. I think most people are just anticipating there's not going to be a change, which is fine. But as we evaluate markets and look at the headlines and the hype around it and the clickbait around it, I think market makers just love these weeks. They love going into these days. So be careful for volatility. Be careful for liquidations. The other thing happening this week is this National Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Report. I'm not sure it's the National Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Report, but it's a very big report coming out of the White House, and that is Trump's 180-day digital asset report from his January 23rd executive order. It's coming out July 30th. So there's a bunch, I think, of context that we're going to get from this. Open blockchain access, stablecoins backed by USD, retail CBDCs banned, clarity on token classification, strategic BTC reserve, how much crypto they're holding, and then what we have coming up next for crypto: executive actions, SEC, CFTC guidance, Genius clarity, and Bitcoin acts aligned. So this is kind of a very big culmination tomorrow. We've waited quite some time for this report to drop. It'll be very interesting to see what is in there. That could bring some bullish vibes. Maybe it's just underwhelming. I don't know what it's going to look like. But as we wait, let's watch price action. But I think for me, a macro view, because this is a macro game. So I want to show a clip, actually two very quick clips of Charles. I've never seen him so bullish. Check this first one out in relation to the 4-year cycle.
I'm curious if you think the 4-year cycle is still intact.
No, it's a different cycle. It's something different going on. And I don't even think we're close to the peak of the bull market. People have gotten so pessimistic and cynical that they're like, oh, the market's dead and we've ballooned. It's like, dude, clarity's not even passed yet. When clarity gets passed, the Mag 7 are going to enter the cryptocurrency.
This is it, everybody. And I completely agree with him. Everybody's so pessimistic. And I actually posted this yesterday. Altcoin price action, it's amazing for the whales and institutions. And we've seen, you look at the Ethereum ETF, we see big money. They have been accumulating Ethereum. They've been scooping up Ethereum as retail kind of does get pessimistic and they're just getting antsy. And I posted in this post, I basically said this kind of pump, then dip and consolidate, pump, then dip and consolidate, which we're really going to see on the Ethereum charts. This thing that just keeps happening, it's frustrating a lot of people. 4-year cycle theorists are losing their minds that they haven't gotten a 25x, like right on schedule. And this is the new game. And I'm just saying, don't fall into the emotion. It's time to focus. So let's look at this other clip of Charles.
You're going to have stable coins go above 1 to 2 trillion in issuance. You're going to have real world assets come in. The total market cap aggregate is going to be over 10 trillion. And so I call this the Gigachad bull run. It's like the biggest bull run we've ever had. And when Bitcoin starts stalling, then the alts will pop. And so you're going to see great ratios that, come from this whole thing.
It's just macro analysis right there is what Charles is saying. And I completely 100% agree with him. And the 4-year cycles, all of that data, it's shifted. We're in a brand new game. And he's talking about just the total crypto market cap for crypto sitting at, this is everything, sitting at 3.82 trillion, $10 trillion. And we've had this kind of, I mark it as a fun target up here. It's around 12.5 trillion. It's all just very much in play. Now, that is not to say, hey, it's going to happen, in the next month. This has been a macro game, but look at the total crypto market cap chart. Higher highs, higher lows, institutions coming on board as a lot of retail capitulates. The same thing with altcoin charts. I know it's not as explosive, but that's just because we've not had, as Charles was just kind of referencing, that kind of ratio shift. Bitcoin dominance starts falling, altcoin dominance starts kind of increasing. We've not had that, but even still on the altcoin charts, look at this, higher highs and higher lows. As we see Ethereum ETFs being scooped up, we see all of these altcoin ETFs just in line for approval. This setup is insane. As we have global M2 supply just increasing, right? And we have money printers getting ready to come on, interest rates getting ready to come down. We have to play the macro game. I want to look at Ethereum and then I want to look at Cardano in relation to price action. I think these are two top cryptos. They offer, even if you don't hold them, you hold smaller caps, doesn't matter. This holds great value as a roadmap for this cycle. So we know what's going on the macro. We've been tracking it, this busted pattern. We have a huge target to the upside. We've kind of broke to the downside, back into the apex. We're waiting for the breakaway moment. What I want to do is I want to do two things. I want to look at these swing highs because I briefly mentioned it yesterday, but I really want to just bring a different perspective. Yesterday's video, I think it was yesterday, we talked about the risk model for Ethereum in the CCV intelligence system, right? Each time it gets into this like 50s area, it consolidates for months. 50s area, consolidates for months. Right now we're in a 50s area. So I wanted to visualize this on the chart and just say, you know what? We might be getting ready for some type of consolidation. I'm going to show you what that looks like on the Ethereum daily chart. But I wanted to take this a step further rather than only just visualizing those numbers and these risk scores and what happened at this area. I want to just kind of just look at this. 3 times hitting this area, not getting a breakout, not getting an explosive move, not getting a breakout above all-time highs. Why is that so important? Well, it's not only as a potential midterm signal where we might start consolidating, but it's a macro signal. Look what happened. Boom. Hit 59 last cycle, kind of in this consolidation area, pre-bull market, right? And then even 2 cycles ago on the risk model, 55, right in that area, just a nice breakout to 50s, pre-bull market, pre-parabolic, boom, and there it is. So it's like we hit that number once, parabolic. We hit this number once, parabolic. This is such a good visualization. Our risk model is such a good visualization, and this is the Ethereum risk model of how the 4-year cycles, it's over. It's done. That theory does not work anymore. And we've learned that this cycle. And all of us had to learn that lesson. But this is where we are right now. We've hit these 50s multiple times now, and it's not followed with this just massive run. And this is coiling. This is bullish. This is a shift in terms of who's holding these cryptos and who's preparing for this cycle. And you have a choice to remain patient, right? Disregard the fact that you haven't gotten a 25x, a 50x on your altcoins that you've been just, hey, you wanted to get that 25x, 50x back here in November. It didn't happen. It is what it is. We are entering a brand new era for crypto. This chart, this risk model for Ethereum, I think is signaling the power of this next bull run and what it can offer. So we see that here in terms of these numbers. We're hitting it multiple times. We're not getting the breakout. We are just getting insane suppression, so much accumulation, a transferring of hands, in terms of who's holding these coins. That's what's happening there. On Ethereum, on the daily, I wanted to talk about if we can break above and out of this range, right? We're talking right about 4,000 to 4,100. We might start heading on towards all-time highs sooner than later. Ethereum is not far from all-time highs, right? If we're looking at this, it's like 25% or so away from all-time highs. But we are at a resistance area, okay? It is this previous swing high. It's the triangle area. You can see Ethereum trying to separate from this trend line. It's a multi-year trend line. If we start dipping, I want to point something to your attention. If you open up the MACD, this momentum oscillator here, you see this MACD line getting ready to cross below the signal line. This, in my view, is not like, this is a daily chart. This isn't some like macro bearish indicator, but this is a view of consolidation that could be getting ready to take place. What I've noticed is if you look at this MACD, every time this has happened, Ethereum really has consolidated, right? This time back here was very sideways for a while when this move was happening, this same move. Right here, the MACD crossing below the signal line. That led into a very big consolidation. You go back to here, what happened? A big consolidation. Right here, what happened? A big consolidation. What I wanted to point out to you is this. This breakout move that happened back here. Notice how there was a MACD line crossing the signal line. Ethereum just kept putting in higher highs and higher lows though. It definitely was consolidating. It was quite sideways into the 20-day. We can look out for this type of move. And the reason why is because you see this 20-day flipping above the 50 and the 200. This is kind of what just happened. The 20-day flipping above the 50 and the 200. We're kind of in this very similar type of breakout moment. There's a potential where this MACD consolidation back here could be very similar to this one. So what I'd be watching for, targets to the downside for Ethereum, and this is very important, I'm telling you, even if you don't hold Ethereum, it acts as a roadmap and a guide through that consolidation for altcoins. But I'd be looking for anywhere between the 20-day moving average at 3,400, 3,500 and the 50-day moving average, 2,900. I'm not saying Ethereum will fall down to that area, but if it just consolidates sideways into the area, these moving averages pull into Ethereum, maybe it's 3,300, right? And it's like first week of August and we're like in that area, $3,300, low 3,000s. I don't know. I'm just trying to explore the potential for downside, the potential for consolidation for Ethereum. Maybe it's more sideways for a while, choppy, very similar to this move at this multi-year trend line in yellow, right? Mid 3,000s. Maybe that's in play. Just please keep in mind, it might need to take a rest, might need to take a break. To the upside, we can evaluate, can it break $4,000 to $4,100? We have targets to the upside. I have a 1,618 higher high target. It's around 5,800. You'd be very surprised if Ethereum starts breaking out, how quick it can get there. We were just in this environment in like the mid 1,000s. And all of a sudden, here we are sitting at 3,800. Well, the same is true going to the upside, especially as we're getting ready to enter a very positive, bullish environment for crypto. It is a new era, and these things are really starting to come together. We just had Genius Act passed, signed into law. We have clarity in play. We have altcoin ETFs in play, filed for. We have a lot of things. Interest rates getting ready to start coming down. Let's get through this interest rate decision tomorrow. A breakout for Ethereum could be a very massive signal for altcoins, but we have to wait for it. Especially, we have to evaluate, can Ethereum break through this kind of mid 50s, lower 60 area on our risk models? I mentioned yesterday, that could be a very interesting indicator for the start of Ethereum's bull run. But one thing is very, I think, consistent throughout all of this data and analysis. The bull run has not started yet. We are just at the very beginning. I want to look at ADA. We know what ADA on the weekly looks like. It's the same thing. A lot of pessimistic outlook for Cardano as well as altcoins, but as Charles was mentioning. And if you look at the macro, one thing is true in relation to Cardano, then I want to talk about this $1.80 target. It is a different type of animal on the chart, the way it consolidates, but the way it breaks out. And I keep saying this, and I always want to preface my analysis with this because it can happen quick, and I'll be doing a video. I don't know when it will be. And it made that move, that breakout crazy move. All those negative comments go away. But I really want to preface this analysis because the $1.80 target plays very much into this story. Why? Because on the weekly, that is breaking through the bull market doors. It's breaking this previous swing high that we just kind of tested back here in November, December. And really, it's targeting kind of this, I don't know, top type of area, that $2 to $3 area for Cardano's last cycle. The thing about it this cycle is this is like a shorter term target. This isn't a top of the bull market target for Cardano. This is the beginning of a bull market target, right? So as we consider a super cycle, a very powerful bull run, a giga run, or whatever Charles said, however you want to call it, as we consider these things, just keep in mind a $1.80 target is the beginning for an ADA move. So where's that $1.80 target coming from? For me, it is this, and it's not completely in play right just yet. It's very similar to how I was speculating about the busted pattern on Ethereum back here. We were talking about potentially coming to a swing low and pulling back into the pattern. Now we're speculating on an ADA daily chart about this. And this is a very short-term type of pattern. This is going back to March, but swing low, back to a neckline, there's a head, back to the neckline, and now we have this right shoulder in play. Let's say Ethereum dips, altcoins are dipping, Cardano's dipping, we're coming back down to like the 60s, low 60s, mid 60s. Are we going to bounce from there? Are we going to put in a right shoulder? Are we going to start bouncing here and start putting in a right shoulder? The target, if this sets up with this, you see this higher high neckline, if this confirms as a pattern, the target is $1.80. And that is a very important move for Cardano. It would be breaking previous swing highs. It would be breaking the bull market doors. And we would potentially be entering, if we kind of zoom out and go back to Cardano's last cycle, we'll be potentially entering this type of move right here. And that was the beginning of Cardano's kind of parabolic move towards and through all-time highs. So I wanted to discuss that. Just keep an eye on this for price volatility. So we have moved to the downside, lower 60s, but that neckline area, if ADA can break back into the 90s through $1, we might have this inverse head and shoulders with a $1.80 target in play. Many people will not believe it until it happens. And that's just the story of crypto on these charts, it seems, over these years. So these are my thoughts today as we have a very volatile, probably next 24, 36 hours, but let's just track it all. And one thing is for sure, we're ready for downside targets. We're ready for upside targets. But what's very important is zooming out on all of these charts, looking at the bigger picture here. We are still not even in the bull market. We are preparing for the bull market. So these are my thoughts. I hope you're having a good day. If you're not in our intelligence system, check out our risk models, get in there. XRP, BNB, Solana. We have 38 risk models back here. Cardano's back there. Start planning your exits based on these scores. And I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.